I just heard, and I'm going to tell you, one of the most inspiring stories you're ever going to hear. And it's coming from a guy who doesn't really want his identity revealed. You understand for obvious reasons later on in the video. But it's a story that lets us know that no matter how tough and how difficult your situation is growing up, there's always a way for you to come out on top. So with that being said, let me not waste any more of your time and let's get to the story. I want you to meet my friend MONCLER Mac. That's what his friends call him in the streets. When I went to go interview MONCLER Mac to tell me about his life story, I noticed he was sitting on the hood of his beautiful new Mercedes. He was dripped in designer and wearing a very shiny blue Montclair coat. And so were all his friends. And then I came to the conclusion that maybe that's why they call him MONCLER Mac. He probably has a deep affinity for the brand Montclair. But as the video goes on, you'll have a deeper understanding as to why they actually call him MONCLER Mac. So I really wanted to get to know MONCLER. So I started asking him about his background, where he came from, what got him to the position that he's in right now. And that's when MONCLER told me that his life growing up was anything but easy. You see, when MONCLER was 4, his mom and dad were having an argument, and his dad just couldn't take it anymore. I guess it was the stress from work and having to raise MONCLER. And so he killed her in the most brutal fashion imaginable. And MONCLER saw the entire thing go down. So at the tender age of 4, MONCLER had just had the most traumatizing experience in his entire life. His mom is dead and his dad is serving life in prison. So that's when MONCLER had to move in with his grandma, where she raised him, and she tried her best to deal with MONCLER, but you gotta remember, the environment is the Soundview section of the Bronx, one of the worst neighborhoods in America. So growing up, MONCLER was running the streets with him and his friends, getting in and out of jail, constantly getting in trouble. But as the years passed and MONCLER became an adult, he told me about the day that finally changed his life around and finally got him to do something more productive with his life. It was one of the many days that he was released from jail. He's been through this experience many times. And he remembers walking into his grandma's house, and his grandma wasn't doing too good. She had a bad hip, and there's no food in the fridge because there's no money coming in. That's when MONCLER said, I have to do something about this, for me and for my grandma. Inspired and motivated by trying to help his grandma, MONCLER went downstairs to speak to his gang. That's when he delivered one of the most powerful speeches. He told them that they've been committing crimes for all these years and they have nothing to show for it. All the trouble they've brought to themselves and their families was all for nothing. But that changes today. MONCLER organized a brilliant plan where the gang would run down to Manhattan and go into the luxury stores on 5th Avenue and take whatever they got. But MONCLER was going to be very smart about his approach. This required a lot of planning. So one of the guys asked him, so where are we going to go first? MONCLER, with a smile on his face, said, we're going to go to the Montclair store and take every coat we can get. And that's exactly what he did. On their first heist, MONCLER and his gang took over $15,000 worth of merchandise, where they flipped it back on the black market for huge profits. Ever since then, MONCLER and his gang have come up with bigger and bigger heists. No luxury name brand is safe from MONCLER and his gang. MONCLER has changed the situation for him and his grandma. By the way, yeah, his grandma is wearing a Montclair coat at all times, even in the summer. Some of the guys in the neighborhood have even started to call her MONCLER Grandma. But the story of MONCLER Mac just really goes to show that no matter how difficult your upbringing is, you might have had a very tragic past, there's always a way for you to get ahead. As long as you're determined to change your reality and you decide to take all your friends with you to the top, there's no stopping you, especially if you guys stick together. With all this money now, I asked MONCLER Mac if he ever plans to move out of his grandma's house, which by the way is now filled with flat screen TVs and Montclair coats and designer clothes everywhere. MONCLER says, why? This is where I'm from and this is where people love me. I'm staying here for the rest of my life. So after hearing the inspirational story of MONCLER, I just have one question. What's stopping you from getting what you want in life and achieving all of your goals? If MONCLER, who comes from the worst part of the Bronx and had both his parents taken away at a young age, can do it, then why can't you? Take this video as your sign to finally go after what you actually want. The time is now. As for me, I'm gonna go hang out with MONCLER and his grandma. See you guys later. Peace.